What's up, y'all? It's Evan from DMV Sports Zone giving you another update on all things DMV sports. As always, we start with hockey and the Washington Capitals. So for the Capitals, it was a rough week, capped off with a 4-1 loss in Carolina in the Stadium Series on Saturday. The loss drops the Caps to 28, 24, and 6. They've lost 4 in a row, 62 points, 6 in the Metropolitan Division. So if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Capitals, the week begins on Tuesday when they return home to host the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings come in at 26, 21, and 8, 60 points, 6th in the Atlantic Division, so if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Detroit's coming off a 4-2 loss in Seattle on Saturday thanks to 2 goals by Jordan Eberle. This is the last of 3 between the Caps and the Wings, and it's the rubber game as the season series is tied 1 win apiece. Detroit took the first meeting 3-1 in Detroit on November 3rd. Washington retaliated with a 4-3 overtime win in D.C. on December 19th. On Thursday, the Capitals welcome in the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks are currently 17, 33, and 6, 40 points, last in the Pacific, and the worst record in hockey, so obviously if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Anaheim's coming off a 6-3 loss to the Kings on Friday. They've lost 4 in a row. This is the first of 2 between the Caps and the Ducks. Last season, Washington and Anaheim split a pair with the home team winning both. And on Saturday, the Capitals have a big test as they welcome in the New York Rangers. The Rangers are currently 33, 14, and 9, 3rd in the Metropolitan Division. If the season ended today, they would play New Jersey in the first round. New York is coming off a 3-2 overtime loss in Calgary on Saturday, but they're still on a 10-game point streak. This is the second of 4 between the Caps and the Blue Shirts. Washington leads the season series 1-0 after beating New York 4-0 in New York on December 27th. And for the Capitals, the week concludes on Sunday when they head to Buffalo to take on the Sabres. The Sabres are currently 28, 22, and 4, 60 points, 5th in the Atlantic. If the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Buffalo's coming off a 4-2 win in San Jose on Saturday. They've won 2 in a row. This is the second of 3 between the Caps and the Sabres. Buffalo leads the season series 1-0 after beating Washington 5-4 in overtime in D.C. on January 3rd. And now we move to basketball and the Washington Wizards. So the Wizards went into the All-Star break on a high note, a 114-106 win in Minnesota on Thursday. The win improves the Wiz to 28-30. They've won 2 in a row. They sit in the 9th seed in the Eastern Conference. So if the season ended today, they would play Toronto in the play-in tournament. Here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Wizards, the week doesn't begin until Friday. That's when they return home to host the New York Knicks. The Knicks come in at 33-27, the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. If the season ended today, they would play Philadelphia in the first round. New York is coming off a 122-101 win in Atlanta on Wednesday. They've won 3 in a row. This is the third of 4 between the Wiz and the Knicks. The season series is tied 1 game apiece. New York took the first meeting 112-108 in D.C. on January 13th. Washington got one back, a 116-105 win in New York on January 18th. And for the Wizards, the week concludes on Sunday when they head to Chicago to take on the Bulls. The Bulls are currently 26-33. They're 11th in the East. If the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Chicago's coming off a 112-100 loss against the Bucks on Thursday. They've lost 6 in a row. This is the last of 4 between the Wiz and the Bulls. Washington leads the season series 2-1. They beat Chicago 102-100 in D.C. on October 21st. Chicago returned the favor with a 115-111 win in Chicago on December 7th. But Washington came out on top the last time these two met, a 197 win in D.C. on January 11th. And now let's talk college basketball and the 6th-ranked Virginia Cavaliers. So March Madness is right around the corner, and Virginia is putting the final touches on their resume, notably, most recently, a 57-55 win over Notre Dame on Saturday. The win improves the Cavaliers to 21-4, 13-3 in the ACC. They've won 4 in a row and sit in first place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Virginia is a 3 seed. So here's the week ahead for the Wahoos. For Virginia, the week begins on Wednesday when they head to Chestnut Hill to take on the Boston College Eagles. Boston College comes in at 13-5, 7-10 in the ACC, 10th place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Boston College is not in the field. The Eagles are coming off a 75-69 win at Florida State on Saturday thanks to 21 points by Quentin Post. This is the last of 2 between Virginia and Boston College. The Cavaliers lead the season series 1-0 after they beat the Eagles 76-57 in Charlottesville on January 28th. And for Virginia, the week concludes on Saturday when they head to Chapel Hill to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. North Carolina is currently 16-10, 8-7 in the ACC, ninth place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, North Carolina is in the last four in. The Tar Heels are coming off an 80-72 loss against number 15 Miami on Monday, despite 23 points by R.J. Davis. This is the last of two between Virginia and North Carolina. The Cavaliers lead the season series 1-0 after they beat the Tar Heels 65-58 in Charlottesville on January 10th. Up next, let's talk about the Maryland Terrapins. So on Sunday, let's just say it's called a trap game for a reason, and Maryland found out the hard way. A 70-66 overtime loss at Nebraska, in which they were outscored by the Cornhuskers 12-8 in the extra session. The loss drops the Terrapins to 18-9, 9-7 in the Big Ten, and 6th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, Maryland is a 7 seed. So here's the week ahead for the Terps. For Maryland, the week begins on Wednesday when they return home to host the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Minnesota comes in at 7-17, 1-13 in the Big Ten, last place in the conference standings. Obviously, as of the latest bracketology, Minnesota is not in the field. The Golden Gophers are coming off a 76-69 loss against Penn State on Saturday. They've lost 9 in a row, and they're winless in the month of February. This is the last of two between Maryland and Minnesota. The Terrapins lead the season series 1-0 after they beat the Golden Gophers soundly 81-46 in Minneapolis on February 4th. And for Maryland, the week concludes on Sunday when they welcome in the Northwestern Wildcats. Northwestern is currently 20-7, 11-5 in the Big Ten, second place in the conference standings behind only Purdue, and as of the latest bracketology, Northwestern is a 6th seed. The Wildcats are coming off an 80-60 win over Iowa on Sunday. They've won 5 in a row. This is the only meeting this season between Maryland and Northwestern. Up next, let's talk about the Virginia Tech Hokies. So crunch time carries on for Virginia Tech, and on Saturday they came up with a big win, 79-72 over Pitt, thanks to 22 points by Grant Basile. The win improves the Hokies to 16-11, 6-10 in the ACC, 11th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, Virginia Tech is not in the field. So here's the week ahead for Tech. For Virginia Tech, the week begins on Tuesday when they welcome in the 13th ranked Miami Hurricanes. Miami comes in at 22-5, 13-4 in the ACC, second place in the conference standings behind only Virginia, and as of the latest bracketology, Miami is a 4 seed. The Hurricanes are coming off a 96-87 win over Wake Forest on Saturday. They've won 6 in a row, and they're undefeated in February. This is the last of two between Virginia Tech and Miami. The Hurricanes lead the season series 1-0 after they beat the Hokies 92-83 in Miami on January 31st. And for Virginia Tech, the week concludes on Saturday when they head to Durham to take on the Duke Blue Devils. Duke is currently 19-8, 10-6 in the ACC, 6th place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Duke is a 9 seed. The Blue Devils are coming off a 77-55 win at Syracuse on Saturday. They've won 2 in a row. This is the last of two between Virginia Tech and Duke. The Hokies lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Blue Devils 78-75 in Blacksburg on January 23rd. And we wrap up this DMV update with the Georgetown Hoyas. So, surprise, surprise, on Sunday, Georgetown actually won a game. They beat Butler 68-62 thanks to 17 points by Brandon Murray. The win improves the Hoyas to 7-21, 2-15 in the Big East, still last place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Georgetown is not in the field. So here's the week ahead for G-Town. For Georgetown, the week begins on Wednesday when they return home to host the St. John's Red Storm. St. John's comes in at 16-12, 6-11 in the Big East, 8th place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, St. John's is not in the field. The Red Storm are coming off a 77-67 loss against number 16 Creighton on Saturday, despite 15 points by Joel Soriano. This is the last of two between Georgetown and St. John's. The Red Storm lead the season series 1-0 after they beat the Hoyas 75-73 in Jamaica on January 29th. And finally, for Georgetown, the week concludes on Sunday when they host the 20th ranked Providence Friars. Providence is currently 20-7, 12-4 in the Big East, 3rd place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Providence is a 7 seed. The Friars are coming off an 85-72 win over Villanova on Saturday. They've won 2 in a row. This is the last of two between Georgetown and Providence. The Friars lead the season series 1-0 after they beat the Hoyas 74-62 in Providence on February 8th. And just to quickly take you through the news on all things DMV sports, first of all, congratulations to Coach Reggie Barlow and the DC Defenders, who opened up their campaign with a win over the Seattle Sea Dragons. That's a big win for Coach Reggie Barlow and a DC Defenders team with high expectations in 2023. Also, the Commanders found their guy at offensive coordinator, and it's none other than two-time Super Bowl champion, Eric Bieniemy. And the Nationals open up spring training this past week, so we'll see what's in store for the Nationals. So until next time, I'm Evan from DMV Sports Zone signing off.